Hey YouTube, this is Robinats1 here, and I'm finally doing these Game of Thrones reviews. Apologies for the fact that this is really late. I'm gonna try and get episode 3, this is episode 3 and 4, and I'm gonna upload episode 5, as soon as I can. Um, yeah. In terms of what I've seen so far, I've really been enjoying some of the ideas that are being presented in the Game of Thrones in this season. And it's been very good throughout throughout the 5 seasons that it's had. It's got that really great mixture of Lord of the Rings meets something else that I can't think of. It's definitely got a really nice sort of storyline and ideas in the film, in the seasons. So I'm gonna try and divide this into storylines. Just giving you guys just an overall idea of what's happening. Because this is obviously reviewing episode 3 and 4. And a lot of stuff happens in Game of Thrones. So, let's start off with what's happening with Arya Stark. I really liked the storyline that's going on with Arya. Basically, Arya Stark is being trained in Vale. That's horribly pronounced, but I really like the fact that Arya Stark has to lose her identity in order to join this this essentially a religious cult. I really liked how Arya Stark sort of had to cope with that. And basically in order to turn into become no one, Arya Stark has to lose herself, and her story arc is all about the loss of identity, and in order to become something bigger, she has to shed the skin of Arya Stark, and I really liked that. I really liked that idea, and I also think it's interesting how much of the show has Christian ideas, like the idea of there's only one God, the idea of only one God, some of the Crusades idea, like the religious cults. It's all very interesting, and I do think to throw a young girl into the mix is a really interesting idea. King's Landing. So Tommen, the new king, basically, marries Lady Margaery. Now, obviously in medieval times, and this is very much inspired from medieval history, but it's very interesting because Lady Margaery is, of course, a very older woman. compared to King Tommen. And it's just very interesting. Like, who's really in control of this relationship? Is it Lady Margaery? Because of her age? Can she exploit the new king? Or is it Tommen's, the new king's, or is it Cersei who is controlling her new king's actions? And I do really think it's very interesting. Certainly the idea of this very young boy having his body and kind of his mind being controlled, or not necessarily controlled, but sort of is essentially underage sex. And how mature is Tommen exactly? We do know that he's very different from the last king, because he doesn't want to kill people. And Lady Margaery is very much, sort of expecting him to be that kind of person. So I do think that was very, very interesting. But I also think because that Lady Margaery is manipulating Tommen, is because she's basically putting Queen Cersei against the needs of Tommen's new queen. And basically, Cersei is being put into a position where she has to face off against her own son. And also, the Queen Cersei is also beginning to sort of begin her rise to power, and is proceeding to use again the religious aspects to serve her will, and she's getting rid of a number of members of the council. What I thought was very, very interesting with Cersei is the idea that she's using religion to get, to rise to a power status. Basically, these sparrows, who are normally quite a docile, nearly docile, religious cult, Queen Cersei manages to turn this docile cult into something a lot more dangerous. And basically, this religious cult basically begin sort of arresting people and hurting people. And that's very similar to like witch hunts and crusades. It's got that sort of familiar style to it. So I thought that was very, very interesting. Also, it's implied that scientific mage person on the council might be making some kind of Frankenstein monster. That's what it looked like to me. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Take my time. So now we get on to Winterfell. So Winterfell is obviously taken by Lord Bolton at the end, in the last season. And it does seem like Ramsay Bolton is now being put into a position of power, and basically Sansa Stark is thrown into the mix of the Bolton sort of rise to power. It's very interesting to see how Sansa Stark is being manipulated in the way that she does, and it does serve to prove the fact that although Sansa Stark has managed to survive so far, Sansa really needs to play the game, because she's putting into more and more dangerous positions. But Sansa, and meanwhile we have Brienne and Podrick sort of chasing after Sansa, because Brienne still owes Sansa's mother a debt that she feels she has to keep. And I really like Brienne and Podrick's interaction. Brienne is very much a person who isn't just gonna lie down and let Podrick take the more easy way of doing things. Brienne is very much going to put Podrick in a position where he can become some kind of warrior. And just as a last little bit that I wanted to throw in, Sansa is very much taking on her mother's role, for in this season. She's sort of taking on the on what her mother once held. But also it's very interesting to see again, like how Sansa is being controlled by the people. I do think Littlefinger is controlling her in his own way, just by offering love and compassion. He's putting Sansa in a very interesting position. So yeah. Moving swiftly on to the crows on the wall. Basically, the newly appointed Jon Snow is facing some choices at the start of episode 3 and moving on to episode 4. Basically, the idea on as far as the crows and Jon Snow's storyline is going, the idea appears to be is that what exactly does the Night's Watch represent? Are they the Jedi of this universe, or are they purely there to defend a wall? And that's something that very much interested me about the Jon Snow storyline. for a start, it's very interesting to see Jon Snow become more like his father and sort of embrace the Stark heritage. And he's embracing it all but name. And it's also very interesting to sort of have the idea that is the Night's Watch more than just a few men standing guard on a wall? Or are they actually defending all of humanity? And I really, really like that, this idea the most. Finally, we get on to a few more, and then we're nearly done. So Tyrion. Tyrion, is very much, is kidnapped at the end of episode 3, and sort of is taken by, I can't remember his name, but Daenerys, one of Daenerys' guardsmen from, season 1 and 3, I think. I can't remember his name. He's the guy who wears the yellow shirt. But basically he is taken, and Tyrion's going through a very interesting redemption arc, where he is sort of becoming, he's sort of having to, face his mistakes. And a lot of references are made to Daenerys being some kind of icon to many, many people. Some of which is negative, such as Daenerys becoming a sex icon. And it's very, very interesting because women are often presented in that manner. So speaking of Daenerys, Daenerys basically, Daenerys actually seems very saddened by the people that she's ruling and the customs that she has to follow. And basically, her rule is being undermined by these harpies. There's not much to the storyline, so there's not really much to say. In the next episode, there's plenty to say, though, so I will ultimately talk about that. As for the Jaime storyline, Jaime's basically sailing into Dawn to save his daughter. He's basically promising to kill his brother. And yeah, again, there's not a lot to say about it, apart from there is a growing war between Dawn and King's Landing, and whatever choices that Jaime makes in Dawn might lead to war. So yeah. All in all, guys, these were very, very good episodes. Apologies for the fact that it's so scattered, but there's a lot of plot lines, and I'm gonna try and do these reviews for you. Anyway, I'm Robin, that's one here, and I shall see you all later for the next Game of Thrones review. Bye.